皆様、ごきげんよう。読みとしらずでございます。今日もフォーゴットンシティ忘れられた都市続きをプレイしていきたいと思います。さあ、エクイティアさん、またどっか行こうとしてますけれども、どこに行くのか、彼女は。まあ、多分選挙準備だよね。まあ、選挙始まる前にね、とりあえず、リディアさんに話して、行こうかな。さあ、リディアさんの元へ。
Just as the ocean but it doesn't.
さあ、行きましょうか。その意味が分かった。ここがどこかも分からここがどこかも分かった。
Say it.
お
Speak
う、ならば申
its
してみよ
name.
う。明快だ。
Then it is true. I was right.
私は正しかったのかい？そうだ、あなたは間違ってない。
I thought I saw it, but when the rest of them could not, I kept thinking I must have gone insane. I had to tell myself it was true over and over again, until I wasn't sure if I was deceiving myself. I must apologize if my words seemed cryptic. I'd found comfort in reciting the Metamorphoses by our great poet Ovid. He gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot help but wonder if he himself came here. Would you like to hear it?
もちろん。
I will do my best to remember the relevant verse. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb
潮よぶ
silence
幽の
to
樹
the
が生い茂る
infernal
下り道あり
regions.
と言ってるな。
The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the shadows of the newly dead descend, entombed with full rites, and the ghosts of those, at last, given proper burial. The wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant of the road that leads to the Stygian city, where Black Dis has his cruel palace. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls, and is never too small for any populace, nor notices the crowds that come. There the bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, and still others incur punishment. I hope I have done it justice. And now we share a secret. It's as if you've lifted a great burden from my shoulders.
だいぶ苦しんでたようだね。
Thank you, friend. I think I should rest.
OK。パンドラの箱。これでクリアか？ OK。パンドラの箱でクリアできました。
Friend, you have given me hope. May you follow in the footsteps of Hercules and return to the light of day.
ありがとう。もうこれ以上話すことないか？ OK。じゃあ次。ちょっと待ってね。名盤1個手に入ったよね。ローマの名盤ね。だからクエストにはないんだよね。よし。じゃあ、次あれだよね。まあ、名盤もいいんだけど、正面突破しない方。政務官にさ、鍵をもらってみたいな。どこだ？あ、これか。これだよね。センティウスに上層のシスターンへの鍵を求める。けどこれ無理なのか？多分ね、ドゥリ解放したらくれるんだよね、鍵ね。まあ、とりあえず行こうか、センティウスのとこ。よし、センティウスよ。鍵をくれ。以前にも話した。
I must have Is that about right?
この会話は以前にもしたかな。これまだ選択したことないよね。そして私は今急いでいる。
Seems rather brash, but all right. Why have you sought me out?
上層、シスターン、こっち一回頼んでみようか。ドゥリを自由にしてやってほしい。
You mean Duilius? Releasing him is out of the question, I'm afraid. That man is a liability we simply cannot afford. Perhaps you're not aware he was caught multiple times, sneaking around in places he should not have been.
彼は実際何をしたのか。
Look, I can see where you're going with this. You think me cruel. I assure you that is not the case. You may not be aware of this, but it was not so long ago, during the Republic. The law of the 12 tables would have required that he be killed as soon as he was born, owing to his deformities. Here we see to it that he has food, water, and shelter, and most importantly, he is able to continue living. A privilege that would be taken away from all of us, were he to be released and commit the crime of trespass. The man has no self-discipline, poor comprehension of what is going on around him, and is an incorrigible rule breaker. I will not jeopardize the lives of my people so that one man can go free. Now, was there
まあ
something
ね、
else?
黄金律を破る危険性があるからってことでしょうね、多分ね。さあ、上層室の鍵を借りたい。
I think it's best if I hang on to it.
ダメか。なぜ？
You mean to ask, why am I unwilling to trust a newly arrived non-citizen with access to our water supply, the lifeblood of this city? I'm sorry, but that is simply out of the question.
そうだな。何か隠してるように思える。
Yes, our water supply. From you. I wasn't born yesterday. Poisoning a city's water supply is the oldest trick in the Codex. Quite literally. Aeneas the Tactician wrote a siegecraft manual for military commanders some 300 years ago, recommending the poisoning or pollution of cisterns. And I'm beginning to wonder if the culprit we're looking for might, after all this, be you. Perhaps it was a mistake on my part to place so much trust in you.
疑われてる。どれがいいのかな。これはやめといた方がいいね。この嘘ついた方がいいのかな。政務官の心に訴えかけようか。死んでほしい約束するシスターには近寄らない。
I'm glad to hear that. Now, was there something else?
上層のシスターにどうやって入るか考える。
Thank you. I'll be waiting here for news.
今の選択肢は間違ったのか。工夫して入る方法を探す。まあこれはまたあれだね。また今度だね。また考えないと。他ないかないかな。今いけるのはこれだよね。ディアの生徒に入る金メッキ進めるか。これか。永久的な解決策。とか、あと名盤探すか。違う違う。これだよね。ジョルジウスか。ジョルジウスを探そう。 この人だね。
Greetings and salutations.
ジョルジウス。
Greetings. I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another
この人
foreigner
初めてだよ
in
ね
our midst.
喋りか
We
けんの。
must stick together, you and I. And I must say, my sartorial friend, your clothing is most extraordinary. Leather boots in place of sandals, trousers with precise stitching, and such a curious design. I have traveled distant trade routes from the markets of Damascus to the farms of India, and never have I seen anyone dressed quite like you. Tell me, I must know, from which exotic part of the world
どこから
do
来
you
た
hail?
かだって決まってるじゃないか。私の国はまだ誕生していない。
Is this a riddle, or perhaps you mean to say you feel like you are ahead of your time? I feel the same way. Another reason for us to stick together. We will have much time here to get to know one another. But for now,
情報が欲し
do
い。
you require assistance?
名場の
I
情
know
報
you
が
don't
欲しい。
require clothing, so information perhaps?
まあ、まずは、あなたのことを教えてほしい。
My story? How kind of you to ask. I am a tailor and I run the humble shop in the forum.
なぜここに仕立て屋を開こうと思ったのか。
You mean to say, with all the turmoil and terror of the Golden Rule, and so few customers, why bother setting shop at all?
まあ、そんなところだ。
I'll tell you, it is precisely because of the Golden Rule that I wish to remind my friends of the importance of looking one's best. I say, the more of our customs we preserve down here, the more we can preserve a semblance of normality, the better our chances of keeping our heads. Don't you agree?
まあまあ、この人の気分をね、機嫌を損ねてもいけないので。
Oh, and there is another reason too. If we all end up as golden statues for future generations to marvel at, I don't know about you, but I would like to look my best.
冗談が過ぎるな、この人。さあ、次行こう。どうやってここに？
A good question. A very good question indeed. And I would be happy to tell you if only I could remember it clearly myself.
覚えていることだけ教えてほしい。
I remember I had just been to Rome to sell an extraordinary selection of wares. And droning in
またコインが出てきた
coin,
ね。
I decided to celebrate my success. I rented a prestigious villa by the Tiber, invited over a few select friends, and we began making our way through some of the most exquisite wine money could buy. Quite a lot of it, in fact. Now, I have had visions and awoken in strange places before. I have even found myself naked in the desert sands more than once, but none of that compares to this. This time, I remember people screaming, then falling into a void as empty as time before creation, gasping for air, and then nothing. When I regained my faculties, I was lying naked by the banks of the Tiber, gods know how many miles from my villa.
つまり、あなたはテーベーレー川に流された。
Indeed. I'm lucky I was carrying a little extra weight. I believe it kept me afloat. In any case, it seems I'd been rescued and resuscitated by a benevolent stranger. I went to find firewood for his campfire, stumbled across a cave, and discovered that trapdoor temple. And here I am.
別の話をしよ
Anything you like.
う。ここから出る方を知っているか？
Not so loud. What are you playing at?
なんか知ってるな？申し訳ない。何か変なこと言ったか？
Have you not been told about the last attempt?
なんだ？最後の試みとは。
Oh, then I suppose this duty falls to me. Ah, it is a long story.
ぜひ聞かせてほしい。
Of course, the first question any of us asks when we first arrive is, how do I escape? It is only natural after all. And scaling the chasm wall is out of the question, for it is simply too steep and too far. But as they say, if the wind fails, use the oars. And here the second option is to leave the way we came in, through the shaft above the
浴場の上に縦穴が？
See, the shaft is quite high, but if one gathered up enough wood, one could make
あ、
a
なんか
series
は
of
しごらし
ladders
きも
and
のあった
climb
ね、
one's
そういえ
way
ば。
out.
浴槽に。なぜまだ誰も実行していない？
They have. I am getting to that. There was an attempt made by resourceful fellows who lived here some years ago. They even decided to keep records of their escape attempt for posterity. Unfortunately, as soon as they began to carry the first ladder down the hallway, they heard a godlike voice shake the entire city, and that, tragically,
あ
is
あ
where their
黄
day
金律に
ends.
反してるんだね。
So it seems that to merely attempt escape is to invite the wrath of whichever god oversees this place, and so I say it is best to not even discuss it aloud.
そうか。黄金律についてどう思う？
Ah, yes. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. As a Greek, this is nothing new to me. It is how our gods operate.
そう思う理由は？
Have you not heard the tale of the god Hades? He was the first to learn this dreadful lesson when he abducted Persephone and imprisoned her in the underworld. When Demeter, the mother of Persephone, learned of this, she did not punish Hades, the guilty one. Instead, she changed the climate of Earth so that it became hot and dry. Nothing grew. The grain turned to empty husks and the rivers dried up. Innocent people died by the tens of thousands until at last the other gods were forced to act, lest they have no worshippers left. So yes, we know this rule. This has always been the case. The golden rule has merely brought it into focus.
それに対して私たちは何をすればいい？
If we are to survive, I say we must each heed the simple wisdom of Thales of Miletus, first of the 7 sages of Greece, who said, "Avoid doing what you would blame others for doing."
言うは安く行うはがたしだな。
Regrettably, I think you are correct, my friend. For even if 99% of us adopt this principle, that will never be enough. Sadly, no matter how well we protect ourselves, the life's work of many good people can be undone in the blink of an eye by a single selfish act.
あんたの言うことはわかる。この目で見た。
Ah, the voice of experience. I am sorry for your loss, my friend. But on a lighter note, I will say one thing for the
お、
golden
なんだ
rule.
一つだけ冗談にできることがあ
For
る。
their grim and haunting poses, these golden statues do make magnificent models for my clothing. Do they not?
うん、まあまあいいや。投票のこと聞こうか。
That, my friend, is quite the dilemma.
マラレ
But
オス
after
か。
some reflection, I'm leaning toward voting
ま
for
だ悩ん
Madonna.
でるんか。ってことはこの
I
人は
would
うまい
not
こと
enjoy
説得できそうだ
the thought
ね。
of another visit from Domitius if I voted the wrong way.
投票先を変える気持ちはないのか？
Nothing comes to my mind, my
ありえないって言ってんな。そうか。さあ、ギリシャの名盤について聞こ
And in a city full of Romans, you are asking me? Because I am Greek. Let me tell you something about Greeks and Romans. My name is Georgios, yes. But the Romans, they do not care. They hear me say Georgios, and they think, ah, he must mean Georgius. Good Roman name. They do this all the time. They see us worshipping Zeus, they copy us, but call him Jupiter. They take Hades and call him Pluto, Persephone, Proserpina. I am flattered that they copy our ideas, but why must they change the names? Do they want credit for making it all up? Do they want to forget where it came from? At first, I pull my hair out. After a while, I give up, and I become Georgius the Roman. I accept the world is Roman. Plus, I have no hair left to pull. But my point is this. If you want to know who stole an old Greek name, look no further than the sticky
う。手
finger
癖の悪いローマ人を探
The
せ。
plague you seek was pilfered from a collection of old Greek relics by none other than
ドゥリが盗んだ。本当
He
に？
cannot help it. Like a typical Roman, he likes shiny things, especially those that once belonged to my people. And besides, it makes him happy. So I say, let him keep it. I
本当に？
believe he still has it with him, in his cell, just opposite the temple of Demeter.
オッケー。わかった。じゃあちょっとドゥリのとこに行ってきますわ。ちょっとここいろいろ調べよう。お、チェスト。染料。 真っ暗だね、ここ。うん。音違う。うん。じゃあちょっとドゥリのとこに行きましょうか。ドゥリ君。
Isn't the great temple
hello?
majestic?
Hello. Have we met before?
タイムループ前だったっけこの外あったの。どうだったっけ。まあ、とりあえずいろいろ話したいんだけど、とりあえず名盤かな。
Do you like it? It's shiny, innit? It makes me happy just looking at it.
それを譲ってもらえないか。
But if I gave it to you, then I wouldn't have it anymore, and
ダメか。
I'd be sad.
じゃあどうすれば渡してくれる？うん。
Well,
出してくれたらか。
if you get me out of here, then I wouldn't need it anymore because I'd already be happy. Then you could have it, and you'd be happy too.
センティウスはあなたを解放しないだろう。でも、政務官が他の誰かに変わったら可能性があるね。
Galerius? He's nice. I like Galerius. He made me a doll and everything.
ではとにかくガレリウスに投票するようにみんなに呼びかければいいのかと。
Yeah,
そう、
Galerius
ガ
will
レリウ
let
ス
me
が出し
out.
てくれると。
Then you
それ
can
で
have
名
my
盤は
plaque,
僕のものに
and
なると。
everyone will be happy.
OK。じゃあ頑張ろう。黄金についてどう思う？
Gold? You mean
まあまあこの人に聞いても仕方ないか。
treasure?
あなたのお宝について話そ
My
う。
friend Hannibal used to look after me.
うん。
He said he always would. But then he died. It was very sad. He said if anything ever
うん
happened
こ
to
の人
him,
の話聞いたよね、これね。
he gave me this key.
そうそう、
and
鍵
made
の
me
話だよね。
promise to keep it safe until all I remember is he said something about the cisterns. Now nobody looks after me.
これ選択してダメだったのか。わかった。ここから出る方を知ってる
You're
か。
going to let me out of here? Really?
そういう意味ではない。あなたがここから出る方法を知ってるかどうか聞いてるんだ。
Please. I hate it here. It makes me very sad.
まあまあ知らないっぽいね。政務官があなたをここに入れたには理由があるはずだ。
You're mean.
ああ、しまった。ごめん。
I
間違えた。
don't like you.
間違えた。選択肢ミスった。
Arvig. Certainly.
全部聞いたよね。
May Fortuna guide you, although you may not meet.
さあ、とりあえず行き詰まったね。次これかな。エジプトの名盤行こう。アウレリアさんか。あの酒場の人か。いや、この人だね。
I love your clothes. Ah, you're here. And, there's a light in...
一番下にしたらどうなんのかな。あ、なんか増えてる選択肢一つ。無駄なことは話すな。あなたがひどい人だということは分かっている。いや、これだと情報聞き出せないよね、多分ね。すまないが、興味がない。
Oh, I see. You prefer the company of men. Maybe you should go and make friends with Virgil instead. I take back what I said. Let's just forget that
まあ
ever happened.
どれを選んで
So
も
we
変わ
can
ら
at
ないんだ
least
ね。
do business. So, what brings you to my tavern?
カバー氏を探している。どこかで見かけたか？
Not for a few weeks now. Last time I saw him,
ジョルジ
he
と
was sitting at
テ
a
ーブルを
table
囲んで
with
話をしてた。
Georges, whispering about some job. I remember because they kept looking over their shoulders as if they didn't want anyone else to know.
うん。
So, naturally, I hovered. The one word I kept
消える
hearing
っていう
was
言葉。
vanishing.
カバー氏はいなくなった。
The next day, Kabash just disappeared. Coincidence? I think not.
じゃあ次はジョルジウスだね。
All right. See ya.
ジョルジウスのところへ。
You look well, my sartorial friend.
また君か。
Hello again.
カバー氏を探している。あなたが最後に彼を見かけた人物だと聞いた。
I knew this day would come. I do not wish to lie to you, my friend, but even discussing this matter is dangerous. Please, let us leave the live coals safely beneath the ash.
私を信じてほしい。医学人同士、共に手を取り合っていこう。違うか？
Very well, but the magistrate would not look kindly upon this, so please keep it to
政務
yourself.
官がこのことについ
Several
てよく
months
思わないと。
I have been sneaking out at night to worship the gods of my ancestors in the temple of Demeter.
デ
Each
メテル
day,
の神
I
殿。
leave offerings of food in the hope that we may have a bountiful harvest. And yet the next day, when I return, the food is missing.
それの何が問題なのか？
The offering, it is symbolic, you see. It is never eaten. So I ask, who or what is devouring the food in this temple? Stranger still. Once I sat in front of my shop like the 100-eyed Argus until dawn to see if I could spot a thief going in. But do you know what I saw?
動物か？
Nothing. Nobody entered. And yet when I went to take a look, my offering was gone. It is bizarre, is it not?
奇妙だね。
When I told my friend Kabash of this at the tavern, he offered to help investigate. He went in, and to my dismay, he was never seen again.
じゃあギリシア神殿に行けばいいんだ。デメテルの神殿はどこにある？
It is the only Greek temple in the city.
浴場に向かって進んで
And it is the last
右
building on
側
your
にあ
right.
る最後の建物。OK。では、これからデメテルの神殿へ行
I
く。
do not think you should pursue this, my friend. It would break my heart to be responsible for two people disappearing. But you do not strike me as a kind of person to be deterred by such warnings. So just be careful, I beg you.
OK。ありがとう。これか。
Salve.
こっちか。違うか。こっちからもあるのか。あ、でもこれどうやって行くの？ここ？ここだね。壺。ここの神殿で何をすればいいの？ギリシアの女性像を調べる。まあね、ジョルジウスからは聞いたからね、情報をね。これか。オイルランプ。つい最近誰かがここ通ったようだ。いいのかな、先進んで。地下道でカバー氏を探す。OK。 お、ロード入った。んなんだ、なんか物々しい曲が聞こえてきたぞ。何か風が吹き込むような音が聞こえるけど。何これ、縦ごと。へえ。縦ごと。ん、なんか死にそうだね、ここ。怖っ。あ、なにこれ。びっくりした、水滴か。ここ飛び降りたらなんかあるんじゃないの。なんか戻ってこれなさそうだけど。お、なにここ。お、トイレをゲットしました。読めない。アーカエオロジストみたいな。読めない。あ、名盤メッケ。あ、これ違う、違うやん。目的の名盤ではなかったです。あ、いた。いましたわ、人が。
You carry the gift of Prometheus in your hand. Remarkable.
なんだ、プロメテウスの贈り物を持ち歩いているのかって言ってるね。ちょっととりあえず話しかけた方がいいのかな。あ、このライトのことか。
Welcome, welcome. May I ask your name?
読みどちらだ。
It's a sincere pleasure to meet you. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here?
この人カバシでしょ、多分。違う？オベリスクから取り外された名盤を探している。あ、でもこっちかな、さっきね。カバシを探している。
Ah, Kabash. I know this man.
あ、この人カバシじゃ
He
な
came
いの？
through here some weeks ago. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request. I have been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself. The one thing I long for above all else before I die
あ、そうか。
is a good philosophical argument with somebody astute.
いいだろう。
I'm hoping that person is you. Let us find out with this simple question. Have you deduced the name of the god
お、
responsible for the
この人黄金列についてなんか知ってるね。冥界の神プルートだ。
Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly Socratic dialogue?
いいよ。どうしようかな。簡単なことだ。
Wonderful. Then let me begin with a question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong?
そうだな。はっきりとはできないな。そりゃ複雑な問いだ。
You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. It is probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the golden
そうだな。間違いない。
your struggle can only have become more difficult.
ああ、そうかもしれない。
Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people.
そうだ
But
ね。
under the golden rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree?
そうだね。そうなんだけど、それは誰にとっての善悪なのか。
That is an excellent question, and it leads directly to my next line of inquiry. So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct?
あらゆる状況において信頼ができ、常に正しい判断を人に促す道徳律。難しいよね、こんなんね。一つではないもんね。複数存在する。
How can that be? Since they all have differences, it follows that in some cases they would offer different conclusions.
そうなんだよね。だから難しいんだよね、道徳って。
And wouldn't it follow that only one can be the correct one?
でもさ、そんなものがあったらさ、世の中に間違いなんて起こらないよね。まあ実際そうだよね、これだよね。実際これなんだけど、正しい道徳律の中身は、それぞれが属する社会や法の関心によって異なる。そうだね。これにしよっか。そうだね。
You know, I think you'd find an ally in Herodotus, the scribe from among my people who lived some 400 years ago. He told the story of a man named Darius, whose curiosity was piqued when he learned that a certain tribe had the practice of eating their dead. He asked some Greeks who burnt their dead, "What would it take for you to eat your dead?" Aghast, they replied, "Nothing." Then he asked the tribe who ate their dead, "What would it take for you to burn your dead?" "Nothing," they replied, equally aghast. From this, Herodotus concluded that custom is king, that right and wrong are merely local ideas which do not survive the journey from one
慣習が
tribe
法
to
って感じ
another.
か。
I take it you're in agreement?
一つしか全然違わない。
Then let me ask you this. If you visited a tribe where they ate each other, copulated with the dead and drank wine from cups made out of human skulls, would you still maintain that within such a tribe there is nothing wrong with such conduct?
難しいんだよね、これ。言い切ることはできないね。
And that's a credit to you. It is the mark of a civilized person to change their position when presented with a superior argument.
話の要点は？
My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about
そんなも
right
の
and
ないよ
wrong.
ね。こっちにしたい。
If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the golden
でもこれじゃ悲しいよね。
This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all.
面白い議論だね、これね。完全に賛成しきるのもあれだからね。もちろんだぐらいにしとこう。
I admit, I am talking a lot. Forgive me. I'm just excited to have company. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man.
ありがと
I would be happy to answer your questions.
う。あなたと話して楽しかったよ。 さあ、とりあえず、あなたのことを教えてほしい。
You mean how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past?
そうだよ。なんでここの洞窟で生活してるの？
It's a long story.
いいよ。ぜひ聞きたい。
I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night, I found myself in a tavern in an argument with a drunk mercenary. It became heated. He drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life. I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades.
ああ、そういうことか。生き残りみたいなもんなんだ。あ
They are one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto, but long before that, my people called him Hades.
あ、ここにはそのプルート、ハデスの力は及ばないんだね。なるほどね。戻れないんじゃなくて、戻らないんじゃないか、これは。
My generation was wiped out, turned to gold many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize
あ、そうか、そうか。黄金律の効果が地表まで行くと、及んでしまうから、すぐに黄金に変わってしまうからか。あ、だから地表には行かないんだ。なるほど。他のものはどこにいるの？
I'm afraid I am the only one left. There
あ、
were
そう
12 of
か。
us
死んじゃったんだね。
but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair.
へ
It has
ー。
been lonely. Before my
お、カバッシュ来た。
unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years.
ここの今までどうやって生き延びた？
Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet.
魚か。なるほど。
Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation. So I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But, like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner.
そうか、お供え物がなくなってるのはこの人たちのせいっていうか、この人たちが持ってたのかな。まあ、ちょっと最後に名前だけ聞かせてくれないか。
I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city,
ああ、そういうことか。
even by mistake,
なるほどね。
that Hades would hear you
わかった。
and know I am still alive.
別の話をしよう。
As you wish.
ここから出る方をしてるか。
Ha! If I did, would I be living like this?
そうだな。間違いない。
Did we not discuss it at length already?
ああ、ごめん。
Oh, I see. You're toying with me. Ha!
ごめんなさい。カバシュ。どこで会
I
え
will
る？
tell you, but you may find him hostile.
牙を焼くかもしれんと。
To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the shrine of Persephone became the shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the temple of Demeter,
ここに隠したんだ。
out of reach of the Romans.
話を続けて。
However, there was one thing that always seemed out of place to me, and it is the very thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription.
なんと書いてあったのか。
We had no idea until years later, when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another,
さらに古い地下道。
older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow
地下墓地を抜け
Kabash's
て
trail.
カバシの足跡をたどるのが一番いいんだろう。中には何が。
There are certain things you must see.
怖えな。
Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate.
地下墓地の鍵くれたよ。マジか。クエスト、次のクエスト地下墓地に入る。
I enjoyed our chat, but please
オッケーオッケ
keep
ー。
my presence here
大
a
丈夫大丈夫。
secret.
多言はしない。で、カバシの情報はも
Good to
うくれ
see
ない
you
の？
again, friend. Did you find what you need?
カバシの情報は。
You mean
ダメ？
how did I end up living Ah, very well.
ダメだね。も
I
う情報く
enjoyed
れない
our
ね。
chat, but please
さあ、じゃあ地下行く？ここなんだろうね。ああ、ショートカットか。なるほど。じゃあ、カバシはそこの地下にね、いるってことだよね。あ、これか。そこか。まあ一応繋がってるんだ、これ道。
Ah, you've returned.
あ、あった。あ、違うわ。さっきと同じ反応してしまった。浴槽。ああ、ここで寝てるんだね。これ入ったらどうなるのかな。なんかないかな。何もなさそうか。何もないね。はい。ということで、とりあえず今日はね、ここまでにしておきたいと思います。ご視聴いただきましてありがとうございました。チャンネル登録、Twitter、Twitch の方はフォローの方よろしくお願いいたします。ということで、次回はこの続きですね。今、エジプトのね、名盤を探しているんですけど、カバチを探し出すところからね、次回やっていきたいと思います。ということで、今日はここまで。また次回の動画でお会いしましょう。以上、読み茶しゃらでした。それじゃあ、またね。